Secretly recorded from deep inside the bowels of a decommissioned missile silo, we bring you the man, one single man who wants to bring light to the darkness and dark to the lightness. Although he's not always right, he is always certain. So now, with security protocols in place, the protesters have been forced back behind the barricades and the blast doors are now sealed. Without further delay, let me introduce you to the host of HuttCast, Mr. Tim Huttner.
Thank you, Sergeant at Arms. You can now take your post.
Happy glorious Sunday on this day of 1/29/2023. But on today's episode, the ATF and their, what would you call it, a SIG tack brace, a shoulder mounted. Yeah, we'll get into that. And the ATF warning about Mr. Tyree Nichols. Mr. Tyree Nichols was a man who was chased down and roughed up quite a bit. It cost him his life. What else? Today is also going to be about AIs. I had someone come to me about some AI, did some research on it, actually did some playing with it, and I'll tell you what I found out. So HuttCast 1/29/2023 about those three topics today. Stand by, we'll be right back. The views and opinions expressed in this program are solely those of the individual and participants. These views and opinions expressed do not represent those of the host or the show. The opinions in this broadcast are not to replace your legal, medical, or spiritual professionals. Buying a gun is no ordinary purchase. Whether you're a hunter, competitive shooter, or self-defense is your priority, there are many kinds of guns and many kinds of training programs. You use your brain all the time. You will rarely need to use your gun. Before you find yourself in a situation where you need to make a critical decision, make sure your training is the best you can get. It could be the difference between life and death, or freedom or detention. For the best quality training, check out permittocarry.us. If you live in Minnesota or Wisconsin or even Florida, give Gene German a call, 612-388-2403. That's Permit to Carry US. Or call Gene German at 612-388-2403. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today on this glorious Sunday. -4 this morning, woke up to that. I thought, hee-haw, sounds like a really good day to not be out in it. And I thought to myself, I've been chewing on these issues for a couple of weeks now, because I've had some time off to think. This ATF tack brace. Tack brace is kind of a big thing in the gun world. And here's why. The ATF has announced that they are going to outlaw these SIG tack braces. SIG is a manufacturer. Tack brace is a stabilitating tactical brace that mounts on the back of your AR, and it is a device in which handicapped people can fire a pistol, a shoulder weapon, a something, so that they don't have to have it on their shoulder. It's attached to their arm. A tack brace is simply a way of holding it. So if you have more gun control, which is odd here because they don't want us to have gun control, but they want gun control. And you strap this to your arm, therefore you can shoot your pistol without it ricocheting and bouncing and throwing all kinds of lead every place it shouldn't. It's more like muzzle control. So here we are. The Attorney General, Merrick B. Garland, has released a 293-page report on what definition of this means. Now, let's back this up a little bit. The tack brace is put on a pistol, what they classify it as a pistol. An AR with less than 16-inch barrel. The barrel itself is, if it's considered an SBR, short barrel rifle, and it can be shoulder mounted, it's considered an SBR. But somewhere in the hierarchy of developing materials and getting things through, they developed this tack brace, which can strap to your arms, but more than likely is going to be shoulder mounted. Now, a shoulder mounted barrel under 16 inches under the NFA Act, National Firearms Act, said that you have to have at least a 16-inch barrel. It can't be a fully auto. They had all kinds of restrictions back on the NFA Act. Tack brace was a simple device that, now we could have ourselves a shorter barrel, a pistol-based. It's kind of a cool gig. Until now. I don't know how this is going to get through a whole lot of people that vote for a living versus a whole lot of people that work for a living. But usually the people that work for a living are the people that have these weapons. I personally believe that we shall not be infringed. Therefore, this tack brace and 293 pages of what it does or doesn't mean is completely ludicrous. Half of me thinks, my conspiracy part of me thinks that this is magically delicious how it pops up when there's all kinds of, well, what would you call it, security breaches. You know, the security breaches about the paperwork and the confidential files and all this stuff. Hold on now. If they were that confidential and they were that classified, you're just going to throw them in Biden's car and he's going to take them home and throw them in the garage? I don't think so. I don't think so ever. So if he has some classification, and there are levels to classifications, what series of classifications are there? So if there's a classification, a certain type of document that says, hey, we can't do pistols to the Taliban. Okay, it's certainly classified, but it ain't really classified. It's just kind of classified. And some of you might disagree with classified versus not. Either it is or it isn't. There are levels to this. And just like there are levels to security. Security clearances are levels which are classified to certain people. I can't get security clearance. You can't get one until you have a certain need. And then the government steps in and says, well, why do you need a classification? I.e., just like these papers. And i.e., conspiracy theorists thought here, magically delicious, they throw this out so all the guys who are now going to pinch Biden and all these people that have classification standards. Think about it. Put it all together. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, it does if you were to look at the conspiracy part of it, but why now? Stabilizing braces have been around for decades. And now they want to find something to spin this off on? We're going to do this? I don't know. I don't know if I believe that yet. So out of these 293 pages, this is insane. I'm reading through here. We as an ATF will have a training probably on Monday or Tuesday. I heard it. We saw on the ATF website that all dealers should attend. It's online, so it's a virtual attendance. But I do intend to be there, and I want to have this for you guys in later episodes. Now, I don't know how they do things down in Australia. I don't think they have any type of guns down there, other than hunting or hogging or whatever you guys do call it. It's not a sport for you guys. It's just you hunt, you eat, you fish, you whatever it is. It's just kind of like a tool for you. Well, kind of up here in America, kind of a way of life. It's a hierarchy to, well, what you believe in. You know, the Second Amendment will not be infringed. Pretty much states that, and it was bound upon that way back, and a whole lot of people smarter than us, obviously. So pay attention to that. Tack brace, big thing coming up. When they sign it into law, they're going to say, okay, if you now possess this, let's look at that angle. If you possess this piece, you either have to destroy it, register it. Well, I don't know about you, but a gun registry? I thought we've been through this already. Gun registries are illegal unless you have a SIG tack brace. So all you hundreds or millions of people who have these out there, and I do say millions optimistically, you have these. How are they going to enforce that? It's another law in the books they can't enforce. Hey, if you have one of these, we're going to pinch you. I don't know. What's your probable cause for coming in and searching your property? I don't know that either. Apparently, they don't think that far ahead in this law. And I've gone through about a quarter of these 200 and some pages, and I'm just like, okay, there's a lot here. No one person is going to be able to get through the whole thing and comprehend every little legal trick and little loophole that's in there. That'll be for scholars to totally tear apart as the lawsuits come in, as the cases are filed against people. Now, what it's going to do is going to take you, the average Joe citizen, every one of you who do have these type of equipment, and turn you into felons. When was the last time you had a law that turns you into a felon? Think way back, because I can't remember a law that turns. I mean, maybe prohibition turned you into a felon. The ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Makes you think, doesn't it? Make laws to turn the people that love this sport, that have this lifestyle, they are infringing not only upon our Second Amendment rights, but our freedoms of what this means to us, you people, everybody. Personally, if I had the time to own one, I probably would. I just haven't had the time. But I'm not against you owning one. Another thing is, someone said to me, how did I put it? They were telling me how I should do something, and I says, hold on. You are certainly entitled to your opinion, but you are sure as hell not entitled to mine. And you will not decide for me what is good for me or not. You decide what's good for you. Is this what attack brace is for? Kind of thinking so. It's one of those things. I see the need for it, because you're going to have guys out there who are going to totally ruin this, because there always is. But on attack brace, they did this with the bump stocks. Ring a bell? I did an episode on bump stocks a long time ago, where you can put your bump stock on, and as the weapon gas charges, it pushes back, which recycles it and regenerates it for the next one, and it just keeps a cycle going. So this bump stock is just like an automatic weapon that ain't automatic. Then they changed the definitions of that. Anything that can rapid fire. And then they changed the definition of a weapon, a projectile fired by a explosive. Well, they changed that just recently. If you guys were paying attention, you FFL guys, now they say propelled by any type of percussion. Well, that's air. That's a wrist rocket. That's a cap. That's a chemical. That's a whatever you want to think. If you can put it in there and it light and pops, it's going. But the big thing is a BB gun is now propelled by air. It always has been. Or spring-loaded. What if a spring-loaded one would be the thing? But if you do a air-powered CO2 pistol rifle, well, that qualifies as a gun. Go right down to your local retailer. You could buy them online all day long. The .177 pistol BB thing, that's a weapon. It's propelled by a charge of air. Bet you guys didn't pay attention to that one when you switched it, when they just slid that right through there. I don't know. I paid attention to it because the first thing I thought was, really? That kind of seems odd. Progressive. All right, so where's my track of thought going here? AT brace. No. They can put all the rules in the world they want. I get it. But you guys out there, I don't know. I don't know what your plans are. I would hope that some higher court would step in and say, yeah, you need to hold on here. Because I think they did that in California. Was it about attack braces or was it about the bump stock? They found it unconstitutional. They went out to the world. And they says, nope, not going to happen. They fixed it. They changed it. And now it ain't a problem. Well, till now. I don't know. I just can't get my head around this tack brace. SBRs, I understand. But an SBR can be anything. What if you take a pistol? What if you take like a TAC 9, TAC 9, put a buttstock on it? Now, is that considered an SBR? That's, I guess our training will show that come the ATF day. Kind of a big thing. Either which, I would caution you guys, pay attention to the laws, see what's going on, write your Congress, write your states, guys, write everybody and say, look, this is, which would probably put you on a list. This is unconstitutional. You violate my rights, more than one right. My freedom of happiness, for one. Engage that. Now, you guys across the world, I'm getting a lot of email right now from Ukraine. And the conversions are doing pretty good. I'm putting out there for everybody to listen to that if you do engage in the Ukrainians, they're looking for supplies. They're looking for food, water, shelter. I mean, anything you can possibly do, they're looking for it. And the refugees which are coming over also need that type of attention. I told them I would reach out and put it on the show. Find your local portal, your person, your organization that is going to help them. Reach out, see if there's something you can do for them. I mean, $1 to us is like 100 drachmas to them, or whatever their kind of money is. It's a crazy exchange rate, but it does help. And see if we can help some of these guys out. So for Ukrainians, my hat's off, my heart's out. I get you. And I did reach out, so keep on tuning in. And if there's an organization that's better than some over there, throw that to me in an email so I can also put that out there. All right, what do we got here? We are 14:10 into this ATF rant, and then we're going to come back with the ATF warning. Yeah, the ATF warning about Tyree Nichols. Stand by, because you're going to really dig this. The current healthcare system is not meeting the needs of real people. People are demanding better care, better options, and want results. So Graith Care has launched and is advocating for those in the U.S. and internationally, as people are realizing the controlled system has not been there for them. If you want your own independent advocate that is not controlled by big corporations, call or text and enroll today to get your advocate for your needs, serving all ages. For any healthcare need you might have, you matter. Here's how you get started. www.graithcare.com. GraithCare.com. Call Graith Care Direct 1-469-864-7149. Call or text a question to Healthcare Sucks and get an advocate with Graith Care. 1-469-864-7149. Mention HuttCast and you'll get a 10% discount on your advocacy bundle. And the staff at Graith Care will take care of you. Remember to mention HuttCast, get that extra 10% off your first bundle of time. And this is all brought to you from Graith Care. Yeah, how'd you like that last segment? A little bit off the charts, a little off the wall, but leads us into this segment. Segment number 2, the ATF warning. Now, this is your government working for you. I want you to know that. And as an FFL, they send us certain things to pay attention to. Now, early in the week, we've had this incident happen down in Tennessee. And Tyree Nichols was a gentleman who was getting pulled over for reckless driving. I'm not going to go into that because there's plenty of information all over the internet. And they took and tuned this guy up. I mean, it wasn't a little bit. It was, but you know, I watched the video. I see where he came from. I see what happened. I don't know. I can't trust the fact that if there's really truly all the audio or video is there. I'm hoping so. But they take this guy, they get him pulled over. He fights them. They mace him. They fight him some more. He gets up. He gets away from 4 or 5 guys, right? He gets up and runs. Well, I don't know about you, but if I got 5 cops on me, I ain't feel like I'm running too much. And this guy runs and he takes off. And they catch up with him down the street. He was about 2 miles from his mom's house, presumably where he lives. The reckless driving would have been a way less of an event than what happened. But here's where I'm going with this. Some people call this George Floyd 2.0. And probably for good reason. But here's what didn't happen. It wasn't 4 white cops or 5 white cops or 3 white cops. And this is 5 black guys beating up on a black guy. And it's the middle of winter, and it's 4 below, and there's just a numerous amount of things that didn't line up to the perfect storm in 2020. Where I'm going with this is, the ATF sends out these warnings. The government in which works for you. They also work for us. We also work for them. It's kind of symbiotic type situation. They send me this email. And it states in there that because of the potential civil unrest in your area, you need to fasten down the hatches, put away, all your weapons, save your A&D books. I mean, there's a whole list of us, what we have to do. And I thought, wow, nowhere does it say this. And this is what we got. This is what we got as ATF people. And nothing else. Nobody else. Imagine if we would have had this information in George Floyd days. Hey, this is going to happen, there's going to be riots. I guess the PD knew there was going to be some riots. This hierarchy downtown knew there was going to be some riots. But we had no idea. We couldn't batten down our hatches. So I thought, okay, maybe this is my civic duty to send this out and make people aware of who are on my pages, on my hatebook pages, and say, this is happening. This is a thing. We didn't have no warning in George Floyd days. We're sure as heck going to have warning now, and I made sure of it. And here's where I'm going with this again. I send this warning out, copy paste verbatim of what the ATF sent to me, and I put it on the pages. Most people got it, and these pages are getting rather large, and there's a lot of width to these. There's a lot of diversity in these pages, and the only people who had problems with it were the people who were non-toting, gun-carrying people. I don't even know. I can't even speculate what's going on and why they'd be an issue. And the biggest complaint they got was, you should have put in more definition. You should tell us why. You're fear-mongering. You're doing... Oh, there was just a ton of stupidness. Now, in today's world where Googleizer happens to be everywhere, and you're worried about something, you don't have a problem looking on there if you got a wart on your head, and all of a sudden it always falls back to cancer. But these same people couldn't figure out how to Google the ATF warning because of the Tyree Nichols incident. And they tried to jump my stuff like yesterday's soup. And I just kept telling them, this is what the ATF sent to us. They didn't say why. We knew why. We had half a brain. The people who were bitching about it didn't have any brain. But they wanted this tied up in this little synopsis of a dissertation of why, what, who, when, where, and don't hurt my feelings when you do it. Yeah. Been there, have that t-shirt. Glad I posted it. Some people said I was fear-mongering. I wasn't. Is it going to happen in our town? Highly unlikely, but it has happened in our town. They say it happened in Memphis. What has to do with around us? I said, you don't get it. Tell that to Washington State. Tell that to California riots. Tell that to the New York riots when George Floyd died. Tell that to them. Wouldn't you rather be informed than uninformed? Someone told me once, there's a difference between uninformed and uneducated. You will be informed, and you will be educated, or it's going to educate you. I don't know. I thought it was awful strange that people would fight back on that. And I don't care. I run the page, so if you get too stupid, I'm deleting you. I won't delete your comments. I'm kind of a free speech guy. Your comments will remain till I'm dead, but you won't. So I had to giggle. I had to wonder what is going on with these people and why they were so upset over it. So if you get something like that and you figure out, if you guys are on my pages around here, chime in. Send me a message. Tell me what you think. If it was so ambiguous that you couldn't define what it was for, but yet the ATF never defined it for me. The feds, the ATF, the government that you pay for, never defined it to me, and I figured it out. Some guy posted a message. He says, I joined this page to be part of the community, not to be some kind of an agenda, especially by the admin. This guy couldn't be more far from wrong on this planet if he was in the middle of the riot. It's not an agenda. It's an awareness. It's a situational awareness of what's going on, whether it's in your state, it's in your neighborhood, it's in your country. We all seem to know about Ukraine. We all seem to know about California riots. We all know about it. But they wanted to start a shit show. Those people long since been deleted. Their comments will remain. And I figured, do we need them on our page? Go find some other page to troll. The other people loved it. They says, look, I get it. I didn't know it was a thing. Now it is. It's in our face. We have no control over it. I'm not fear-mongering. I am all people do not fear-monger. So I don't fear-monger. It's not a thing I worry about. But some people think that it's I'm stirring the pot. Well, I've had plenty of pots to stir. You're on this show because I stirred a pot or two. You Ukrainians are listening because there's a pot being stirred somewhere, somehow. But it's not my fault. That's narcissistic thinking. If everything in your life is a problem for somebody else, maybe you're the problem. You better look up the definition of narcissist. Either way, I wanted the information out there. I wanted it to be true. I wanted you guys to understand that this is something that your government sent to me, and therefore I have no curtain of veil to unveil and say, oh, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to manipulate the hate book pages. I don't care if you know about it or not. Would you rather not than know about it? Okay, get off the page. So I had to giggle on that. I didn't understand the psyche of somebody's thinking. Are they that afraid of life? Do they really want to constantly shed blame to somebody constantly somewhere else? Because somebody wanted to make them aware? What a miserable ass existence. Either way, this was not supposed to be about a downer situation. It was all about warnings. And our ATF did that for us, so I had no issues of doing it for you. Since then, once this went out, and I went up to a certain number of pages, and I posted the same thing, got a lot of flack from all the pages. A city close to us called Brooklyn Center issued the same thing, but they put more stuff in it. They why, what, who, where. They gave these guys the whole USA Today version of first the sky turned black, then the dinosaurs died, made oil. Oh, it's like, come on, guys. If you live under a rock, then you need that kind of information. But 99.9% of us, we've got a phone. We're on the web. We're doing stuff. We got people we talk to. We have communications between things. Not these dudes. Okay, so that was kind of my little rant about that. I couldn't believe the way people's responded to the betterment of their life. If they didn't think it was betterment, move on. Next post. Just don't worry about it. Not these guys. They had to pick a fight. What possesses people to do that? How dare you help me? Ain't quite figured that one out. Don't know if I'll ever figure that one out. Don't know if I care at this point, but I had to tell you guys about why the ATF did it. Verbatim, less a phone number for feds only for ATFs to call in, less that number, I X'd out that number. The feds didn't need to have 5,000 people calling them. What happens if this and And it seemed to be the commonality between these people that were doing this were the stay-at-home moms with 5 kids, probably on assistance, probably not a dad in the house, living on government dollars, sitting on their phone, and it was the same kind of people that were bitching about it. Again, how dare me help you? How dare me tell you what's going on? Even a friend of mine who is a staunch Republican, gun-toting American said I was stirring a pot. That was kind of a crappy thing to say. I'm thinking, dude, you know me. I got this thing. People got to know what's going on. I don't know if I got the guy who was going to give it to him, but yet here we are. So if you got some intel on that, people, enlighten me. Calibrate my thinking. Why would they have a problem with that? Okay, what else? Morning Tibet. Yeah, this Tyree Nichols guy, wow, dude. We do not know the whole thing there. There's so much missing. You know, everything right now is out of context because it's so hot. They strategically released the video. It was a smart thing to do as far as releasing that video. They are telling everybody to be calm about it. The mother says, hey, we don't want to riot. That makes sense. Why burn your own stuff? But again, it rings back to George Floyd days. Same kind of gig. The Kim Potter incident. There was all kinds of things that just and they have all one thing in common. Every one of these cases have something in common if you think about it. There's the guy who did something wrong. The guy fought the PDs. The guys almost got away or did get away, and the guys got subdued or they're no longer with us. That's what's common here. It's all the same stuff. They wanted to blame Kim Potter thing on because she's white. No. It was a mistake. It was an accident. George Floyd stuff. I didn't quite figure out if it was an accident or what it was, but the result was the same. The use of force. We had Liz Collins on the show a couple segments ago. I think it was a couple segments ago, yeah. And the use of force for them when his knee was on his back, when Derek was kneeling on his back, that was on his back. It was on his knee. And then all of a sudden, Magically Delicious, it comes out of the training manual that's online for the PD. They stripped it? Read that book. They're lying to us. Liz Collins, they're lying to us. I'm plugging your book, Liz, if you're listening. I ain't all the way through it yet, but wow. What an eye-opener. And her husband was the union representative at the time. Liz got let go from our local news station here because of it. Oh boy, what a crap show. So when your ATF, when your government warns you that something is possible happening in your area, you got to kind of listen. But that ain't what the pages think. The pages think that they're just fear-mongering. I personally didn't take that way, and too bad. Tune out. If you don't like it, tune away. It was kind of a thing for me. So again, Tyrell Nichols, ATF warning. We've got to skip to the next segment, which is segment 3. And this is kind of a interesting techie way of looking at things. So stand by, and I will get into the AI stuff.
Now a word from our sponsors. Today's sponsor in part by Excel Roofing. Excel Roofing, they do it all. Roofs, siding, framing. You need a house? Give Excel a call. I've used these guys personally in the past, have a professional crew. They're conscious of your job, and they want to produce the finest quality of craftsmanship available. Excel Roofing, 763-712-0757. Again, 763-712-0757. Excel Roofing, Dayton, Minnesota.
Here we are, third segment. We had talked about 2 very important issues in 1 and 2. Now we're going to talk a little bit about tech. Kind of a techie head myself. I do a lot of tech stuff. This one's about AI, artificial intelligence. The philanthropist, Bill Hoffman, called me up one day and says, "Hey, are you paying attention to this AI stuff?" And I says, "Not really." "Well, you need to do an episode on it. You need to do a segment on AI." And I thought, let me do some research, do some digging around. And in the music world, in the podcast world, in the editing world, there's a lot of AI. So I started doing research on what is AI, how is it happening to us, what are we doing with it? And I ran across this website. Now, this website was a completely AI-based music drops, music beds. Get in there, and I sign up, and I do some things, and I start doing this, and I'm like playing these music files with a bunch of questions that the computer asks you for ahead of time. Well, as a musician, you hear things, you do things, you feel your music. You don't just construct it off of some bits of datas and ones and zeros and all that. So I wanted to follow through, and I wanted to give this thing a fair shake. Its whole thing was about making music. It asked me what type of tempo, what type of basic background, rock, roll history of country of. There was a lot of input. The point where it got to ethnicity kind of perplexed me. So what type of ethnicity in music do you want? I didn't know ethnicity was a thing. We certainly ain't going to call it a race on this show, because it ain't a race thing. So I put in urban beat, urban American rock beat. And this computer started chewing up this data. Now, the philanthropist, Bill Hoffman, says, it's going to take over, it's going to do this, it's going to... And I want to take some caution with that, because sometimes when we don't pay attention is when the stuff happens to us. Pretty much most of the time. It's when you don't look. Kind of like when they throw these top secret papers at us, and oh yeah, that was in the last segment. So I let this thing chew this file up. Takes about 2-3 minutes. Yeah, I put it for a 5-minute music bed drop, and I played it. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, this thing was able to build something based upon basic inputs. But again, who defines the inputs? I.e., the race thing? I don't even know. I mean, it just... ethnicity of music? I didn't know there was such a thing. It chews it up. It plays back a standard 4/4, some staccato 3/4s. It has the same dreary payback kind of music, right? It's music, but it ain't music. I mean, there's a beat there, but it's just bleh. It didn't have any soul. There was no soul in this music. Sure, it was very right on, but if you're in the music industry and you remember back in the 90s, early 90s, when MIDI was a big thing, MIDI, musical instrument digital interface. And it was basically an I/O. MIDI was going to take the place of humans. A computer guy could build a symphony. No, you can't, because it sucked. The polyphony ranges were way out of spec. If you play like a trumpet, anything past 128 polyphonies, it sounded like a chipmunk. And if you played it too low, it sounded like a foghorn. They have the ranges. Although it could do it, it just couldn't do it right. Same as I found with this AI stuff, at least in this particular case. If this AI thing has anything to do with human interfacing with, I don't know, decisions or like the deep fake stuff that they're doing, that's all AI generated, then we might have a different issue. But I think the deep fake AI stuff is a whole different level of commas and zeros in that checkbook. Because the crappy program I played with, it was just terrible. Did it. The fact that it could do it, baby steps, right? Yeah, there's a big difference. There's a big difference in music. Again, it could do it. AI certainly has its places. I just have to equate that to the polyphonies of musical instruments. If you mic up a nice guitar, an Ovation series, some real nice smooth guitar stuff with really flat wound strings, there's no other sound like it. Now, to capture that sound, that's an art in itself. So you have the artist on one side of the mic, and you have the artist on the back side of the mic. It's a thing. There's two different arts there. And when it comes together, it creates that symphony. The music. The Hell Freezes Over tour. That was an awesome tour. Dating myself. Let's see, who else? The Grand Funk Railroad, way back in the day. When you get those two together and you play live instruments and real ones, or even if, like back in the days, we would take a MIDI input, play a grand piano, stay within that polyphony range, not surpass it, but enhance it. But we played it live. We didn't click track it. We didn't put it in the computer. And then you had something. So you had 5 different guys playing 5 different instruments, electronically, but humanly. You had something. You really, really had something. You can make some really good art. And music is an art. So I did dig into this AI thing. I'm going to do some more research. I just think that we don't have, how'd you put it? The access. We don't have the access like the big guys have. And like technology, the longer it's out, the better the equipment gets. They keep getting better. We get the leftovers. Unless you're spending big dollars and commas and zeros and making stuff happen. But at our level, I don't know if AI is a thing. I don't know what they can do with it. I mean, can't trust anything now, so why start? So now that we got a bunch of menu-driven stuff in AI on the news, the CNN versions of stuff, we're going to say, we can trust it now? Look how many times they did Trump's AIs with their infiltrated audio. They move the mouth, it makes it happen, it looks like he says it, therefore the disinformation wagon just starts spinning. They spin that sucker. Not that Trump was the best of all best, but we paid him to do a job, and we happen to have hired an narcissist in that program. Yeah. But he did the job. How he did it made a lot of people upset. We missed a good one here when we voted here in Minnesota. We missed a really good governor. We had a governor. We have one. But we missed a good one. Dr. Scott Jensen would have been one of those guys. He's been on the show a couple times. I invited Waltz. Waltz didn't show. Press secretary didn't even have the common courtesy to come out and say, piss off. So here we are. But Jensen came on twice. There's a guy who would be difficult to AI because he's so genuine. Now, I'm not, swinging the flag for one particular guy, but I did like this guy. I interviewed a lot of governor candidates. I interviewed a ton of them, and they were just great people. Dems and Rebs. It didn't bother me in the bit. So how would you AI those guys? I don't know. And again, it's so far above our pay grade. We don't develop the software. We use it. And at that point, we're going to say, what are we going to do with it now? See, when the companies develop it, they don't know how it's going to be used quite yet. It can be used as, and then you get some dude will come out and say, hey, we're going to do it this way. I get it. So for you AI guys, and you like to do it, do it. I don't quite know if it's a conspiracy thing that they're going to take over the world. I think they've already done that. I don't know how else we can stop it. We can't vote it out. Yeah. How do you get it out? You ain't voting it out. So it's been a long week. I wanted to get some stuff done. I want to get some more shows out to you. The AI thing piqued me. I really enjoyed playing with the software. I even thought about making it one of the show mantras, but it just wasn't good enough. It was just bleh. Terrible type of music. So go out and play with it. Maddie Matters. Maddie's. He's one of these guys on Hatebook that tell you things you need to know. Episode 120, whatever. He likes to do his hand signals. And that's where I actually saw it. I'm thinking maybe my phone's listening to me when I had the conversation with the philanthropist, Bill Hoffman. And all of a sudden, these things pop up. So obviously, their algorithm's reaching my SEO. But it was interesting to see. It was kind of neat. So, Bill, if you're out there listening, poke around a little bit. Install some software. What are they going to do? Come take your computer? Take over the life? World dominate your HP laptop? I don't know. Come get it. It's an HP. Did I say that loud? I wonder if I get HP as a sponsor, but not after that comment, huh? I don't know. All right, 11 minutes into this one. The last segment carried a little longer than I anticipated because I did anticipate the ATF being so radical. And again, it is 129.23. Right now we're up to about 4 degrees here in the tundra of the north central. And we want to thank everybody in the world, literally from the bottom of my heart, in the world, who has taken the time to message me. Ukraine, I did put that out there, so if you didn't listen to the last segment, it is out there. See if we can get you some help that way. 12 minutes and 20 seconds into this segment. I think I'm going to call the ball on this one and say, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And again, thanks again for listening to HuttCast. Be well.
And that's a wrap for HuttCast. HuttCast is, again, a pragmatic approach to seeing things how some people see them. If you like our show, give us a thumbs up on the Facebook site. Again, for HuttCast, thank you again. Have a wonderful evening.